Hello, hello, welcome. Very happy to be here with you today. I hope you've carved out some nice personal time and space for yourself to be here in your space and with this practice. I'm just a little under the weather today, so you might notice my voice croaking a bit. And I have some KT tape on my knee and my ankle just from maybe some slight sprains. We'll see. But overall, doing really well and happy to be here with you. So if you've already found yourself in a nice, cozy space and taken time to settle, that's wonderful. If you need a moment to do so, feel free to pause the video. But whenever you're ready, we're just going to move into, some light somatic exploration and discovery so we can calm down and come back to ourselves and give our nervous system a chance to regulate and give ourselves the opportunity to just rest and digest and integrate. So I would love to start on our backs. So whenever you're ready, you can come to a Shavasana style position. We're not going fully Shavasana yet, but come to a Shavasana type position, laying flat on the floor with the arms at your sides, the ankles are splayed open, the head and the back are resting. And if it feels good for you, you can gently close the eyes or simply soften the gaze. I'm just going to begin to turn the attention and the energy inward. We can take stock of where our breath is. Where do we feel it emerging in the body? Is it deep down in the belly, higher in the chest, or maybe somewhere in between? There's no need to fix or change it. We're simply taking stock and gathering observationally where we are right now. And if you'd like, you can take the arms either out at a T or up above the head, cactus arms, or even cross elbows, as we just begin to open through the side body and the ribs to create some space there, a greater degree of allowance of the breath to move in all directions. So inhaling deeply through the nose. Let's exhale through the mouth. Let's take two more of those, ensuring that we make a sound, a sigh on the exhalation. So inhaling deeply. Feeling the back body come into greater contact and touch of the surface that we're lying upon. One more breath. Inhale. Really let it go. Good. Give the ankles a little wiggle. The legs, you can bend one knee and then the other. Just giving a little pat, little warm up, wake up to the legs. A shift to the ankles. And maybe that wiggle in the feet and the ankles reverberates all the way up to the hips. So we're just keeping things loose and easy. And let's, come to clasp elbows up above the head. Deep breath in. And release. I really encourage you guys to get vocal here. It helps to activate the vagus nerve, to tell our nervous system and our body that we are safe, that we're relaxing and allowing. So you can hum, you can sigh, you can yawn. It's all a really beautiful part of our practice. Let's bend the knees. Place the feet flat on the floor and take the feet out wide to the edge of the mat, and then send the knees all the way down to the right side. So you're coming into a bit of a twist here. And then you can lift the right shoulder and tuck the left shoulder blade a bit more, so we're a bit flatter across the shoulder blades on the ground, and then you open the arms out to the sides. Inhale deeply, resting into a twist, just detoxifying the organs, getting a bit of blood circulation. And then we're going to take the left arm up above the head, almost like a nice morning stretch, and you can clasp the left wrist with the right hand, and you're going to create a bit of a banana effect. So you're just opening up through the left side body, through the left ribs, as you breathe and emphasize into that space. So inhaling into the left side ribs as we bend and open. Easing any tension in the shoulders, the head, and the neck. We're clasped at the wrist, but we're not pulling, we're not straining. 2 more breaths here. And when you're ready, simply draw the knees up through center and over to the opposite side. And you can keep the arms up above and simply switch the clasp. So you're grabbing now the right wrist with the left hand. And you're kind of bending that right arm up and over the head, creating a nice lengthening in the right side body and right side ribs. Again, keeping the eyes and the gaze soft or closed here. And the jaw and the forehead and corners of the eyes free of any tension. Just breathe into space. Breathe into a state of allowance. There's nothing that we need to do here. Nothing we need to perform or achieve. We're stepping out of this sense of efforting and pushing through. And simply coming into a state of awareness and presence through observation and breath. You can release the clasp of the arms, bring the knees to center, and then let the knees fall to either side. So we come into a reclined butterfly position. You can rest the tops of the palms on the inner thighs, or one hand on the heart and one hand on the belly. This will emphasize a greater connection to the breath, while the hands on the thighs just gives this kind of gentle encouragement to open. Now I want to emphasize the lengthening of the spine here as we breathe. So as you take an inhale, you can feel that slight expansion across the vertebra. And then as we exhale, there's a slight contraction. So we inhale to lengthen. You can imagine the top of the head just reaching ever so slightly further up. And then gently collapsing, relaxing through the exhalations. Good. And then invite the breath out in either direction horizontally, so towards the ribs, towards the side body that we already opened. There's that beautiful kind of gap and gate between the end of the ribs and the start of the hips. You can even find it with your fingers. You can take the space between the thumb and the forefinger and place it in that kind of boneless space there and breathe into your hands here. So emphasizing breathing horizontally. Letting that space collapse and condense on the exhalation. And then inhaling into the hands. And exhaling, releasing. Beautiful. One more time. Big breath. Release through the mouth. Good. Take the arms up above the head. If it's comfortable for the legs to stay in the reclined butterfly, that's beautiful. If they're getting a little tight or sore or just uncomfortable, you can bring the knees up and place the feet flat on the floor. Either works. Bring the arms up above and just circle the wrists with the fists closed. So the fingers are tucked into fists, and we just circle the wrists a bit here. Opposite direction. Good. And then roll the fingers. See if you can also feel your core engage slightly. There's a slight tuck in the pelvis. There's still an arch in the low back, but we feel just that little tightening of the core as our arms are floating up above us. Good. So now come into the elbows, roll and bend the elbows a bit, roll the forearms, bend the elbows, either direction, any direction. So activating just a little bit more here. Maybe the shoulders come into play, and find a bit of dynamic movement. So just play with the fingers and the hands. Allow them to wiggle and wave and express. And simply discover there's really no right or wrong here. We're just allowing the blood and the bones and the fascia and the joints, muscles to explore in space. And we're doing so from this really nice, solid, connected foundation that we have through the hips and the abdominals. Good. Let the arms come to rest at your sides. And then we're going to lift the knees up towards tabletop. So here we are going to feel even more a bit of abdominal engagement. And then straighten the legs up above the hips. And again, circle the ankles. Arms can be down at your sides. They can be palms face up. And we're just circling the ankles here. Again, staying rooted and connected to the earth, to this sense of foundation and stability through the abdominals and through the back body. We don't want to be hunching in the shoulders or creating any tension in the neck, so we just relax and allow ourselves to explore. You can pivot the entire leg in the hip socket, so just rotating the knee and ankle in and out, just finding a bit of yourself anatomically. So begin to play with the knee joints, bending and straightening, maybe even like a little bit of a bicycle motion. And finding, as best you can, a sense of fluidity here. So There's flexion and point in the toes and the ankles. There's slide and glide in the knees. And there's this kind of pivoting in the hip sockets and hip joints. You can extend one leg. Let's come into a bit of a happy baby. So clasping the outside of the feet. You can draw the knees in towards the underarm. Take a deep breath here. And just let yourself find that bit of a gentle rock side to side through the spine, through the back body. And let everything soften. Always encouraging a nice deep breath. Good. And we are going to come to place the feet back down on the floor, and we're going to roll to one side and then come up to a tabletop position. So however you get there, just moving gently, easily. Coming to a tabletop position with the knees and the hands on the floor, and the toes behind you can be either tucked or you can have the tops of the feet on the floor, whatever feels good for you. And continuing that exploration, we're now going to move into the hips and the spine and the shoulders. So, right, we articulated out through our limbs from the fingertips all the way to the tops of the shoulders, and from the toes into the hips, into the tops of the hips. So now we want to begin to just roll the hips side to side, maybe creating some circles or some spirals, some figure eights through the hips. And as we do so, we recognize that the spine has to move with us. So we're taking kind of an advanced cat-cow here through a more somatic, explorative space. So just allow this circulating and articulating of the spine and the hips. And then notice the way that the shoulders and the head and the neck can start to come in as well. So as we roll and send the hips to one side, maybe we arch through the top of the spine, and maybe one shoulder comes back to roll, and then the neck wants to come to the opposite direction. You're kind of becoming a little bit like a snake. Right, so a snake's one part of the body is moving out towards the right, while the other part of the tail might be following behind from the other side, right? So just allowing that slide and glide of the joints and the vertebrae. If the wrists are getting tired at all, you can switch the direction of the hands, you can come to fists, or you could walk the hands out a little bit further. Sometimes that just takes a bit of the pressure off. And it also can open up a bit more movement, dynamic movement. It can shift what we're able to do. So we could come to rock further up on the knees. We could send the hips. Let's send the hips back over the heels and just give yourself a little press and push back into space, lengthening through the spine, creating space through the vertebra. I like to then TP my fingers and just give myself a little bit of encouragement and lengthening through my tailbone as my ears come to land between the biceps. Inhale. Exhale. Finding that same extension that we did through the breath earlier, through the vertebra. So as we inhale, creating space between the spine, between the vertebra. And then exhale, we soften. We let the hands land, come down all the way to the mat. Maybe we inch forward, finding just a bit more length in the arms and the shoulders through the side body. And with the arms and the hands extended out and the toes tucked, we can find a downward facing dog. So coming to a downward facing dog, the hips are high and back in the air. And we're coming towards somewhere where the head is landing somewhere between the biceps. Just have to fix the mic here. And then in our downward facing dog, we can explore this kind of more dynamic somatic movement. So letting the hips roll, bending one knee and then the other, maybe a shoulder dips. And if you're ever confused or need some direction or inspiration, you can always look here to the video and just see the way that I'm allowing my joints to explore. I'm sending the hips high and back. I'm coming forward over the wrists to more of a plank position, and then coming back. So play with that sequence a bit. Coming forward to a plank position, maybe rocking side to side, and then sending the hips back. And as you can see, I'm not doing it necessarily in a super linear fashion. I'm continually allowing my knees to bend. I'm allowing the hips to sink to one side as I come forward. Maybe I want to look one direction and then the other. Let's place the knees all the way down on the ground, untuck the toes, and just lower ourselves all the way down to the ground. Good. Just gonna, and then you can place the hands one on top of another down in front of you, and gently lay the forehead down on the ground on the hands. Taking a moment to feel the top body, the front body, engaging with the ground. Feel the breath pulse and connect to the surface upon which you're on. Let the mind still. Give yourself pause. Simply follow the rhythm of the breath. And release from any sense of holding or efforting. Good. And as you're ready, you can gently lift the forehead off the hands. The hands can come to be placed by our sides. You can tuck the toes. And we're going to send the knees wide to the edge of the mat and have the big toes lightly touch, and we're just going to sink back into a child's pose. Once in the child's pose, Simply let yourself rest into a seat of allowance. If the forehead doesn't want to come all the way to the ground, you can, again, place one hand over another and simply rest the forehead there. This is a posture of condensing, of curling up into comfort, into safety. So you can allow yourself just to come home to this bubble of your space, of your personality, and your connection to self. And the breath naturally begins to ease and soften. As the mind quiets and we simply take in the sounds around and within us. And as you're ready, begin to release and arrive back to all fours as we come to a seated position with the legs spread wide. Take a deep inhalation, lengthen the spine, and then just begin to curl forward. I like to take my forearms down to the ground and simply weight through the elbows and the hands a bit. Here we can let the ankles relax and ease. And again, we find the support of our sit bones in connection with the earth. We find a softening breath, and thus a softening within ourselves. Gently, we use the hands to push ourselves back to seated, and we can swing the legs around and come to our final resting position. So laying all the way down on the back, allowing the back body to melt into the ground, into the support of the earth. Releasing through a long exhalation. And just letting yourself be caught by this net and nest of the ground beneath you. Releasing any holding in the ankles and the feet, in the knees, in the hips, shoulders, the head and the neck, the hands, the eyes, the forehead, and the jaw. Letting contents at the forefront of the mind simply melt and pool at the back of the skull. As the entire front body, any sense of activation or doing also melts and journeys down to the back body, heavy against the floor, heavy against our sit bones and back. Backs of our legs and the heels, anything in contact with the surface upon which we're laying. And if any sensation, any particular sensation or feeling or emotion is alive for you in the body at the moment, gently place your awareness there without a need to fix it or change it, but simply a sense of curiosity and openness to what it might have to tell you, what it might have to share with you. You might feel energy circulating in the body, especially in the palms of the hands and the soles of the feet. You can just recognize this sensation of connection to something inside of us, something beyond what we see on the surface. Something that feels alive and full, electric. Just observe and witness from this space of conscious relaxation and open curiosity. As we begin to breathe from those spaces of sensation, pulsation, and energy. Allowing them to move and filter and clear space within us. As always, I encourage you to stay in this restful state as long as you'd like. Enjoy the sensation of awareness and ease that we've stepped into. A state of yin energy. And whenever you're ready, after the practice, I'd encourage you to continue to cultivate this personal connection in space through journaling. There's a prompt below the video you can follow. And also, of course, you are your best guide and teacher. So with that, follow your intuition, enjoy your day, enjoy your week, and I will see you next Sunday. Thank you so much for joining.